talked about Jackson Arnold on the channel before, but this spring practice has been labeled the most important spring ball in OU history. That's a lot of pressure to put on a kid, right? That's a lot of pressure to put on your new starting quarterback. But I think it's fair for them to say that, right? Like spring ball is starting, and you're ending the SEC, and you've got one of the toughest schedules in all of college football. I think your win total is 7.5. At least that's what it opened up with, depending on what it got bet with. So I think it's definitely fair to put that. But with Jackson Arnold, let's talk about him because the talent is off the charts. If you keep up with recruiting, you know he's one of the most highly recruited quarterbacks coming out of his class. And I think we saw that talent on display in Arizona. Like we talked about with Nico, Jackson got his feet wet this past season. He had the bowl game start, which he was able to be the starting quarterback. He was able to prepare as a starter, which I think is an underrated kind of experience that you have to go through as a quarterback. Then he got thrown in the game against BYU when Dylan Gabriel got hurt. So you got some valuable playing time, some really valuable minutes playing for Oklahoma. And even though there were ups and downs in the game against Arizona, the bowl game, his talent was on display. The arm strength was on display. He had 2 touchdowns passing, 3 interceptions, 38 yards on the ground, 361 yards passing. So you saw the freshman mistakes with the interceptions, but I think the talent flashed all around, right? So I love that his feet are wet. I love that he's going into the season already playing some big games because they got some big games coming up. And we did a video breakdown talking about the schedule for Oklahoma. I would encourage you to go back and watch it because that schedule is pretty tough. All right, so with that said, what do you want to see from Arnold? Well, there's 3 things I want to see from Arnold during the offseason that I think will help lead to success during the season. Number 1, take control of the team from a leadership perspective. You know, we talked about how tough their schedule is. So be it, right? But take control of the team. For Oklahoma to have a successful season, if they win 9 or 10 games, I think that's overperforming, at least by what the market's saying. I think Arnold would have to play a big role. I know Oklahoma fans are high on their defense, and I get it, but I think Arnold's going to have to play a really good football to get that win total, right? But take control of the team. Develop in the offense and learn what Latrell wants you to do, right? Connect with the receivers, build that connection, just like we talked about with Nico. And now you're getting experience being the guy. I think you have experience being the guy during the spring camp. So once the real season rolls into it, there's already some experience. Like he's not going through a competition like some of these other new quarterbacks. I don't know if they're even using the word competition, but he is not having to fight for this job. This is his job. So he's able to prepare like that, which I think can be important. And I want to talk about Latrell. Before we move on, I do want to talk about Latrell because his offense is, I don't know if unknown is the right word. He hasn't been a play caller in a few years, right? He was at UNT, and UNT had some really good offenses. Mason Fine, their old starting quarterback, one of my favorite quarterbacks to watch in Conference USA, put up record numbers. And the offense was always ran successfully, but could never finish it. The team was never great, right? So as a head coach, Latrell didn't accomplish what he wanted to essentially accomplish. But now that you're the OC and you don't have to worry about other stuff, I think Latrell could really flourish in this offense or Oklahoma, especially with a quarterback like Jackson Arnold, right? Offensively at UNT, QB Mason Fine, we talked about, put up some big numbers, right? Then Latrell was fired, analyst for OU, and now he's the guy. So why do I think this relationship is going to work, or why do I think this could work with Arnold? Well, number 1, Arnold has a ton of talent. Number 2, he already has a relationship with Jackson Arnold. He understands the players. He understands kind of what his strengths are already. And if we look at what the offense did when Latrell was the play caller for Mason Fine, 3.5 years as a starter, Fine put up 12,505 yards passing, 93 passing touchdowns, 34 picks, 62 completion percentage, 7.6 yards per attempt. So I think Latrell uses the pass game almost as an extension of the run. If you go back and watch when he's calling plays, he gets the ball out quick to set up the deeper throws. I think now that you have a quarterback like Jackson Arnold, I think those yards per attempt, I think the deep shots, I think spreading the ball out, I think pushing the ball downfield can be a lot higher than what it was with Fine at UNT. Because Fine was a good quarterback, but he doesn't have the arm strength, the talent that Arnold has now. So I think Latrell's offense could expand and could definitely, take the next step as an offensive play caller because you have a quarterback like Jackson Arnold. And if we look at Dylan Gabriel's numbers last year in 2023, to me, it was a career year for several reasons. It was the highest yards per attempt he had and the highest yards on the ground as a rusher, right? So his yards in total with 3,660 yards passing, 30 touchdowns in the air, 6 interceptions, 9.5 yards per attempt, which was, again, his highest of his career by far, 373 yards on the ground, and that was also his highest, right? So I wouldn't be surprised to see Latrell feature Arnold's luck some. Now, I don't think you're going to want to build your offense on Arnold run the ball by any means. You don't want him to take those hits, but I wouldn't be surprised to see him featured as a runner when you need it, right? That's one of Arnold's strengths. It's his ability to move in the pocket, his ability to buy time, his ability to use his athleticism to set up kind of unorthodox throws. So I wouldn't be surprised to see Latrell use that for Arnold. But I think they're a good fit. I think they're a good mesh. I think there's a chance that Nico or Arnold could be one of the best quarterbacks in the SEC or the best, right? Like, yeah, you have Carson Beck. Yeah, you have Quinn Ewers, who are probably the top two, Brady Cook, Jalen Milroe. But there's no reason one of these guys can't come on the scene and really explode and have a fantastic season, right? No, I'm not saying it's going to happen. You got a very tough schedule, but there's a pathway there. If Oklahoma has a really successful season, I think it's because of Jackson Arnold. That may be dumb in saying. I know Oklahoma fans are really high on their defense, and I get it, but still, quarterbacks will drive success. Oklahoma fans, I want to hear from you. What do you think about Arnold? What do you want to see from him? How do you want to see him develop? I think he has a good season ahead of him. I really, really do, even with this tough schedule. But let me know your thoughts in the comments